o'clock. All right, welcome to the Take Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Earnest EJ Christian, coming to you here in sunny, hot-ass South Florida. With me, of course, Mike Bernier, Joe Lopez, the Savant. What's up, bud? Buds.
You know, not for nothing. I know I'm in Maine, but it's been warm here, too. Like, y'all ain't just got a... y'all don't control the heat. Like, it's hot elsewhere, too. Thank you.
It does feel to be hot in the heat, though, because it's the last couple of days has been really bad.
Can you
really?
Can you get swamp ass from just standing in Maine?
I mean, it depends on the part of Maine, I suppose. I haven't had that issue.
I could literally walk out anywhere in South Florida and potentially get swamp ass within 35 seconds.
He's not wrong, Joe.
It's literally like grandma turned the stove on to 495 million degrees and someone left the door open for the last 5 minutes. Shut the fucking door.
Yep.
That's awful and a half.
Yep. That's life here in South Florida. And guess what? It's only June. It gets worse in August, September.
I mean, on the bright side, at least you guys... On the bright side, at least you guys have rising coronavirus numbers.
And scene. Anyway, hey guys, I gotta tell you. By the way, last week's show you had told check out the Larry Sweeney clip with One Man Gang.
Yes.
I did today.
Did you?
I did today. Holy shit!
I'm so happy
dude,
you
Sweeney's,
checked that out.
He's the man, dude. He's the man.
Yeah, no, he was amazing. He was everything, and he's gonna be missed. It's a little sad because the company that was his home company is now gone. I'm sure we're gonna talk about that in the news possibly. But Chikara is no more, and it's a little. It's not a time to necessarily have like a lot of like happy celebrations about the company because of kind of the way things ended.
Wait, Chikara just ended recently? They just ended recently?
Yeah, they've officially gone out of business, and it's surrounding some of the sex scandals. Unfortunately,
wow.
It's a real whimper of a way for a company to go. That for certain of us, I know for myself, and I think I can even speak for Byrne to a little degree here, but like certain of us fans during like 2000, it's like circa like 2008, 2009, 2010, that time period. Mm-hmm. Chikara was probably one of our favorite like companies, definitely one of our favorite places to like go attend shows. I made a lot of friends through Chikara. One of my closest friends who's no longer with us, Parker, we miss you. There's a lot of happy memories that go with that company for myself and for some other fans. But unfortunately, the light that has been left as the company has gone out of business and the reasons behind it is. It's just not a time to celebrate the company, and it's really a shame about that, to be honest.
Yeah. We started last week's show saying that what a bad week of wrestling, and a week later it's another bad week of wrestling.
I'd say it was almost worse.
Yes.
It hasn't gotten better.
Nah, that's damn sure. You got an outbreak at WWE. We have John Moxley who has COVID along with his wife.
And it affected AEW, which, right for the record, like part of me low-key wondered how much WWE didn't just try to get like the AEW champion infected with corona. Just like
that crossed my mind. That actually crossed my mind. Actually,
right? Like I feel like they were like, "Oh, you tested positive? Go cough on Renee." Like
that'd be such a Vince thing to do. I'm the virus.
Oh my god, it really would be.
Where should we start first? Because I think the big story of the week really was the Sammy Guevara story.
Well, I think the big story. Sammy's the one that gets the most attention.
Right.
But the fact that basically the whole company went out of business, I think is more probably the bigger story, which we kind of touched base on. Mm-hmm. By the way, and I'm going to say this, I met a lot of good people through Chikara.
Same.
Parker, Yolanda. Someone who I just recently reconnected with, Wiggy. People like that. Met some good people there. And there's some good people that work for that company that don't deserve the schmear campaign that may be placed on them because they decided to stay with the guy who drove that ship into the ground. And that's not fair to those guys. That's not fair to the wrestlers. The wrestlers were just trying to still live in this dream world that, unfortunately, they hoped still existed, but it doesn't. And that's unfortunate. It sucks for guys like Hollow Wicked and Frightmare, who were probably one of the best tag teams in wrestling for a really long time.
And hopefully he'll end up getting work someplace else now.
I mean, I honestly, and I hate to be this guy, I almost feel like Cody could go in right now. Go get Wicked, go get Frightmare, even Dasher Hatfield. He's turned it up since taking the mask off. It's just one of those where there's guys there that could become integral parts of NXT and AEW tomorrow, and they wouldn't miss a beat. I guess I'm going to end my thought process here with I'm glad that I met the people that I met there.
Yeah.
And what I say next is my opinion and my opinion only. I don't want this to be linked to Joe or to Earnest, but I'm going to just say this as politically correctly as I can, and fuck you, Mike Quackenbush.
Oh.
Who is he?
Oh, can I? And you know me, I don't actually like to usually go down this road, because that a video he put out, that like apology, is one of the fakest sounding things I've ever heard. And this is someone who, I did have a respect for, and I don't have a problem saying right now that I don't particularly have a lot of respect for him, and it makes me sad to be in that place. But that, I don't know if you're curious and earnest, like you don't know the company or anything, but you can watch the apology video that he put out. It's 13 minutes of it's 13 minutes of him, in my opinion, trying to cut a wrestling promo, and he was never that good at that to begin with. So it comes across as so insincere, and like it's just bad. It really is. It's a bad situation.
Chikara U.S. based or Europe?
Yeah, no, they were.
They're here, right? U.S.
Tell me if this sounds familiar to you. Tell me if this sounds familiar to you, Ernest. They were a small company out of South Philadelphia.
Born and raised.
And they ran shows in South Philadelphia, and like honestly, there was a time when they had some of the best wrestling in the world, as far as I'm concerned, and they had the sort of vibe and the sort of fandom that ECW had. But while doing what was sadly, I almost want to say ironically, given the situation, but they were doing a family-friendly product, and honestly, they were the company, and I know we don't want to talk a lot about them right now, but they were the company that, like, if I had friends who I wanted to show wrestling to who weren't wrestling fans, I would show them Chikara, because it could just be fun. And that was always my biggest takeaway from them. And the truth is they had closed down for about a year a while ago, and it never felt the same after that when they came back. And like in a lot of ways, it almost felt like they were dying for a while, and it was bound to end. But like I said, it's sad how it went out. It's a real right. It's not even. It's worse than that. It's a dumpster fire. You know, like
that's actually like insulting to an actual dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Wow. So Chikara's out of business. We got the Sammy Guevara story. The audio piece that leaked out earlier in the week when he made comments about Sasha Banks saying jokingly that he would wanted to rape her. Obviously that I thought AEW responded well, suspended him indefinitely. Him, Sasha, Tony Khan, the whole triangle, they took care of business. It's obviously it's I don't know what's in the waters. It's these last 2 weeks between sex scandals and business closing and more virus not victims, but people getting the virus and all that. What a week! What a week!
What's the common opinion on Sammy? Because there's been a lot of people that have wanted his job completely taken from him. And then there's I think a 60 or 90 or however long it takes him to do counseling. And then he can come back.
I think that, to me, I think that the important thing with the Sammy situation, and mind you, he shouldn't have said that. That's not funny.
Right.
It's never funny to joke around like that. I'm sure, judging by the character that he portrays in general, and you guys know I'm a big fan of his, I think he is the person who tries to say controversial things. He tries to get a rise out of people for stuff like that. And, fine, I guess, to a degree. And I mean, and the truth is, look, we live in a different time because, the Dudley Boys used to say a hell of a lot worse in front of live audiences on a weekly basis at the ECW arena, Mm-hmm. And that's not an excuse. I'm still not making an excuse. I still think it's a horrible thing to make a joke about wanting to rape somebody. But it's an interesting, I don't know, to me, the important thing is that he has apologized. He has owned the fact that he really should not have said that. He's apologized to Sasha directly. They've had conversations. They've both confirmed that. And obviously you have to punish him in some capacity. You can't, especially right now, you can't let that get away. I hope it's a 90-day thing at the most. I don't think this is the thing that should ruin the man's career. It's reminiscent of with Chris Rock a few years ago. Not Chris Rock, I'm sorry, Kevin Hart.
Last year.
A few years ago. When he was supposed to host the Oscars, and some tweet resurfaced of a joke that he made, and the Oscars were like, okay, well, you need to apologize or we're not going to let you host. And in that situation, he had apologized already. I mean, it's tough because I feel like to a certain degree, as the rules change, and they're good changes. You're right. We shouldn't make jokes about raping people. We shouldn't, that's not funny. That's awful in a lot of ways. But to go retroactive sometimes with some of this stuff and be like, all right, well, this person made this joke back in 1988 or something,
and yeah, and that is exactly my concern.
The Golden Girls coming off of Hulu because they have jokes, huh?
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's the whole thing that we were texting each other a couple days ago about this whole situation and cancel culture and that. And that's kind of my fear. I'm not saying that it's right, and I'm glad that we're progressing in terms of clearing up the language and what's offensive, but unless he physically assaulted her, for example, there's no need to fire him. I mean, how is he going to learn his lesson? Take his pay away from him, take away his livelihood for a couple of weeks, and go from there. Now obviously if the behavior becomes a pattern, where he's saying comments like this going forward, then yeah, obviously you have to deal with them in a different way going forward. But I was with Tony Khan here. Suspend him, a lot of pay, and call it a day.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree too.
Mm-hmm. Mike?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, I got a question for you.
Shoot, what's up?
What if Austin Theory said that about you?
I mean,
double standard, huh, buddy?
A good time.
You probably blush.
I think because I was the one that was made the comment to you guys that suspending him was the move they had to make, especially after their decision to suspend Jimmy Havoc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I felt like they painted themselves into the corner once they made that decision. So I thought this had to happen. Yes, obviously their suspensions are going to be different because of the severity,
the nature
of the. So, what I'll say on that standpoint is 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is. Obviously, Havoc's going to end up getting more from that standpoint. So, what I'll say, and the final thing on Sammy is serve your time, come back, perform in ring, keep busting your ass, and then leave the chips where they lay. Otherwise, on other topics. And somebody made a comment on one of the groups I'm in on Facebook about, what if this is the lead to Sammy becoming a face and Jericho throw him out of the inner circle, and this could be a monster face run coming back for Sammy as this guy who's trying to right his wrong. And it's something that could be used. I hope they don't use it in the storyline, but from a perspective of it's something that can be new and fresh for Sammy to do when he comes back, I don't know that I would be opposed to him maybe breaking away from being a single superstar again.
Maybe in a year from now, but I love the inner circle. Right now, they're just amazing. So, but I guess I could definitely see that crossing their mind on the road.
I think Jericho and Sammy together are amazing. I don't think the inner circle in itself is amazing because what are they doing together besides the inner circle bunch? I mean, how much do they really do like together? The Stadium Stampede match was good because of what it was, but
yeah,
honestly, like, you mean to tell me that you could tell me with a straight face the last time that Santana and Ortiz had like a meaningful match?
If there's one con about the Inner Circle, I will say it is the misuse of the. And I think I mentioned on the show a couple weeks ago about the tag teams, about giving them a push to the tag team titles, because I mean, they in my opinion, one of the best teams in the entire company.
Well, obviously they are, but the problem is the Inner Circle started and was basically branched as them being equals. The thing is, they're not equals.
No, they're not.
It's Jericho's group.
In fact, you can argue, it goes Jericho, Hager, and then.
No, I would say it goes Jericho, Sammy.
You think so?
Hager, Pride and Power.
I mean, Hager's already gotten the title shot. Hager's gotten the title shot already, and he's getting another title shot against Cody in Fyter Fest.
Yeah, I would say that they've positioned Hager to be the second top guy. Frankly, I think he would be one of the top guys in the company if they weren't making him play second fiddle to Jericho, frankly.
I don't know.
Oh, I think he should turn. I feel like he should break away from them. And
yes.
I think him versus Mox would be a great match. Him versus the Machine, Brian Cage, would be a great fucking match.
Yeah.
Well.
But like you said, I can't get like Jake Hager is what Bobby Lashley was when he came back to WWE. I'm like, man, they're going to be Jake Hager in. Hager's going to fight for the title. He's going to be this fucking machine, the same way that Bobby Lashley was. And then all of a sudden, Bobby Lashley comes back and it was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I feel like they're doing with Jake Hager. Obviously, I don't think he's going to win the TNT title from Cody. So, I'm just going to say, that's all I got.
All right, let's get to the takes. Get 3 takes as always on the show. Each of us bring one to the table. I'll start mine first, since mine's probably the more serious of the 3, I guess. Obviously, a lot of the discussions right now around pro wrestling and is Undertaker, who announced his retirement pretty much on the documentary last week, The Last Ride, on the final episode, which I haven't finished yet, by the way, but I'm almost done with it. And a lot of conversation about Undertaker's legacy, and we did this on the show last week about, his legacy. He has the greatest legacy of all time. I think we all agreed that he's probably the best legacy in pro wrestling, both in and out of the ring. One thing I came to my mind a couple days ago was this, though, about, because look, it's quite obvious he'll be in the Hall of Fame, whatever is next year, the year after, whatever. My question to you guys is, who should have the honor of inducting Mark Calloway, aka The Undertaker, into the WWE Hall of Fame when that time comes? And it's interesting. I want to hear you guys talk to this first, Mike.
Oh, I just got thrown in the fire.
Yeah.
Mine's gonna be one that I think is a fairly, I'm not gonna say obvious answer, but I feel like it's an answer that's definitely.
Well, Ernest seemed to think we'd all have the same answer, so I'm curious.
That's why I asked you first. I'm curious if the same answer is mine.
I'm gonna go with the man, the myth, the legend himself. I'm gonna go with Vince.
And why?
I think Vince should induct him. I think Vince should be the guy that gives the speech, because I think it's time for the owner of the company to finally step in front of the microphone and give praise to the guy who's been the workhorseman for that company for the last 20 plus years. I think Vince could give some nice stories about Taker that no one knows from, and speaking about it, frankly, Taker was one of those guys that was there in Montreal when the screw job happened and wanted to know what the fuck happened and why it happened. And I just love the fact that I feel like Vince could give us some good stories about Taker. And I feel like Vince is a guy that, with the stories and then Taker coming out, and I think Vince getting the ability to break away from being the billionaire owner character that he plays on television to talk about his friend. And I feel like him and Taker are real genuine friends. I just feel like that'd be something nice to see, something that you don't see very often from the billionaire owner. I mean, obviously, you could go with guys like Kane. You could go with guys like Mankind because of the wars that they've been through together. Even Brother Love, who was his first manager, are all viable options and guys that I racked my brain on. But I just kept coming back to Vince because I felt like Vince was the guy that could open up a little bit and tell a couple more stories and get Taker to that next level that you may not have normally gotten him to because of how private he's been with his career.
Joe?
Well, I mean, I'll give you credit, Ernest, because my answer was definitely Vince
Mine
too, and that's who I went to right away.
So I won. Mine was Vince also too. It's quite obvious.
Yeah, no, and I the funny part is when I thought of it at first, I was like, wow, that's not going to be anyone else's answer. So there, I guess I lose out for thinking that I was original. To me, the reason that I wanted to go with Vince was because I feel like at the end of the day, Taker's the person who he's probably done like the most business with and who has been the most loyal to him. And that's the thing, like, Taker was never necessarily the biggest star that Vince had. He was never Hogan. He was never, The Rock. He was never Cena.
Austin.
But Austin, right. But all of those guys also kind of didn't necessarily, they weren't the company men. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like Hogan was happy to go and take money from elsewhere and throw Vince under the bus, as much as he needed to when the time came. Hogan was out to watch his own back, The Rock went off to Hollywood, and I don't know that Vince took that personally or anything, but it was obvious at a certain point that The Rock's goal was to become the biggest movie star in the world, and he's succeeded. So, I mean, mazel tov to him,
Challenge.
Huh?
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, and then some. He was like, yo, Vin Diesel, hold my diesel fuel. And guys obviously like even like Cena and stuff who obviously are like, Cena might be the next closest thing to a guy who is completely loyal to Vince and would do almost anything asked of him and stuff. But The Undertaker, I mean, we said it last week, right? Like he's been there since like the Earnest and I as the elder statesmen of this show were like already 8 or 9 years, we're 8 or 9 years old.
I was 10
when Undertaker showed up.
I was 10.
Yeah, like I think I was 7.
Yeah, that's insane.
I was 7 when Undertaker showed up, and like he just retired, and I'm 36. You know what I mean? Like, and that's if this retirement stays. He has always been around. He's always been loyal. He's been champion when he's needed to be. He's been a good, he's been one of the biggest heels in the company. He's been one of the biggest faces in the company. Mm-hmm. I don't know that anyone else has quite that kind of track record within the company. And for those reasons alone, I think that Vince, like I think we established last week that, and even The Undertaker sort of said this, right? That like he's done wrestling unless Vince calls. And that's a level of loyalty that I don't know that anyone else has, like Cena, if Vince calls Cena seems to be in as long as his schedule allows for it. But like he may be filming a movie, he's also going to be in the next Fast and Furious, So like, a lot of those guys seem more contingent on their schedules. I don't think Undertaker's ever going to be someone who's contingent on his schedule. I think he may be contingent on whether or not his wife lets him go. But other than that, I think Undertaker's always going to be someone that if Vince calls, it's not going to matter why, it's not going to matter where, it's not going to matter against who, he's going to be there. And that's the kind of loyalty that I think you reward at the very least with giving him the honor of putting him into your non-existent Hall of Fame, mm-hmm. like by yourself.
Right. Now,
give that speech. Right. Give him the shout out that he deserves.
Right. Now, 2 things real quick. Yeah, the Vince thing, we'll all 3 correct there. Number 2, though, the only other guy you obviously consider to put him in there is already dead. And that's, yes, Paul Beer.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? But,
yeah.
I think the better argument here is more so who else other than Vince? That's been the question. It's who should induct Undertaker and why shouldn't it be Vince more than anything else? Like I said, Kane one guy, man.
I was gonna say I feel like after. Okay, wait. So you know what? I'm gonna do it like this because I'm sure we have plenty of time left in the topic too.
Yeah, we have about,
I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna do, and I think we should all do this now. Take a completely off the beaten path answer. So rule out Kane, rule out
Mankind.
Mick Foley, rule out Vince. Who do you got next?
I know who I got.
Yeah, go for it.
I know who I got.
Go for it.
And it took this documentary to realize, because again, one of the cool things with the documentary was actually peeling behind the curtain a little bit 30 years Undertaker. I mean, this is the first time I really got to know Mark Calloway. To me, I would say DX, the Triple H and Shawn Michaels, because I didn't realize just how tight they were. I mean, considering the issues they had in the 90s, but by the time they got older and they were a little more, they were more veterans and all that, they were, him and Hunter were tight. I mean, they weren't tight in a way like every day, like we're calling each other every day as they stay in the documentary, but they were still, there was a respect there. And even with Shawn maturing, in the 2000s, finding God and all this stuff, I think DX, Triple H and Shawn Michaels will be the only ones I could even consider maybe inducting to the Hall of Fame as well.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. I like that answer, actually. Mm-hmm. Mike?
Yes.
All right. Like, part of me goes back to thinking about, like, the obviously backstage group that Undertaker was in, and maybe going to one of them, a la Rikishi, or the Godfather, or maybe even Savio Vega, so he could just be there. But a name that I just keep going back to, and it's one of those, like, there's two names that keep bumping into my head here, or probably three of them. First one, Kurt Angle.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, that's off the beaten path. Why?
Him and Kurt had some really good matches together.
They did. No, they really did, especially on SmackDown, like 06.
Kurt could give some stories about how Taker was behind the scenes, because he was on SmackDown with Taker for a really long time. And I feel like Kurt would be a good one. The second name I keep coming back to is a guy who just recently got demoted off the writing staff. That's Paul Heyman.
Okay.
Again, someone who's worked with Mark on a behind-the-scenes aspect and things like that.
That's definitely be more beaten path or Kurt Angle, in my opinion.
Well, what's funny is, and we'll get to it with my topic when we get to it, but, like, I was watching the Great American Bash 1990, like, to kind of, get myself a little warmed up for talking about Great American Bash. And Mean Mark Calloway is on that show fighting Lex Luger, and he's managed by Mean Mark is managed by none other than Paulie Dangerously on that show. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, they go back a very long way. That's actually a really good pick.
That's a great one, Mike. Actually.
And my last one for the beaten off, and this one is super off the beaten path. And it's no. See, I was gonna be a smartass, and the last one I was gonna pick was Giant Gonzalez.
Oh my god.
But this one was off the beaten path, and I feel like the path may have gotten repaved. That beaten path is none other than the charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy.
Oh, I was just thinking about that too.
And I think my thought process on Hardy plays back to the ladder match for the Undisputed title on Raw, where he literally beats the piss out of Hardy for like 20 minutes in a ladder match, and then like the kid earns his respect and stuff like that at the end. It's just one of those where it's just like, I feel like that one's one of those where, I think
I like that
Jeff Hardy's a super like off the beat.
That was mentioned on the documentary too. That match that was actually mentioned on the documentary also too. That's why I thought about that. It's like,
So my off the beaten path answer is, and he's a huge star, obviously. I'm gonna go with Steve Austin. With still good old Stone Cold.
That's not a bad one.
And I think that the reason I'm going with him, first of all, they did have some awesome matches during the late 90s. They definitely had their feuds while Austin was the champion and Taker was going after him. And obviously the whole like Ministry of Darkness thing, and Austin was very involved in that. I'm not going to go as far as to say that they were like tied together synonymously. Like, I think Austin and The Rock more have that relationship than like Austin and Taker did. But they certainly were both major stars at the exact same time during that late 90s Attitude Era. Like, they are tied together in that way. But even more so than that, I mean, they're both just, beer drinking Texas rednecks. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, and honestly, of all the people who can go up on a stage and tell stories, like Steve Austin, you almost can't do better than that.
Well,
so like,
yeah, the Broken Skull Sessions, for example, too. Remember the Broken Skull Sessions interview? The first one was Taker,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, put Austin on stage for like an hour. Let him just like tell. Again, he's the perfect one to tell backstage stories about like interacting with the Undertaker and like they were on the road together for plenty of time. They probably even crossed paths in WCW. Now that I think about it, their careers, at the very least, even if they weren't tied together, they definitely traveled the same roads. And that alone, plus given that both their backgrounds and like they kind of have a lot in common in that sense, like I don't know, I feel like Austin could at least be fun, if nothing else.
What about Psycho Sid? No, I'm joking.
No, I mean, you could ask him to, but I don't think he shows up.
No, he's playing softball. That's right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think probably.
All right. I guess that's we got a minute to go. Want to fill in anything else, guys? Or
if you had to think back on a Taker match,
Hall of Fame, yeah.
Say it again.
What?
Joe, go ahead.
Huh?
No, is Paul Heyman? Not Paul Heyman. Is Paul Bearer in the Hall of Fame yet?
I don't think so. No.
I mean,
maybe. I don't know, Mike.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hold on.
Oh, thank God.
I'll look to confirm, but I'm like 99.9% sure he is.
Right. After he died, though, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. And I don't know if Taker was the one to introduce him, but I hope he was.
That'd be nice. All right.
Let's see. He is best known for his tenure in WCW as He is in the 2014 Hall of Fame class.
I think he passed away 2012, I believe. Did he pass away 2012? 2013?
No, 2014.
No. When did he die? Same year?
Hold on. He passed away in 2013.
Oh, the year before. See,
yes, like the year after.
Yeah.
But who inducted him? Do we have an answer to that?
No.
Oh, yes.
That class was the Ultimate Warrior.
Okay.
Jake the Snake,
that was that year.
Jake the Snake inducted by DDP. Lita, who was by Trish Stratus.
Right.
Paul Bearer, who was introduced by Kane.
Oh.
Carlos Colon, who was with Carlito, Eddie, and Orlando Colon. And then Razor Ramon, the character, inducted by Kevin Nash.
Interesting. Alrighty. Next topic. I think we'll go with the Joes, right?
Yeah, sure.
Or do you want to close with yours since it's going to lead into something that's happening starting on...
yeah, that's true.
Yours is a stipulation. Okay, go ahead. That's fine.
All right. My topic is one that's that came to my head because of what today symbolizes. Today symbolizes the anniversary of The Undertaker, the guy we were just talking about, launching mankind off of Hell in the Cell. So, Hell in the Cell was a cool gimmick concept. I loved it. But this topic is going to be which ones we hate. It can be a match stipulation. It could be where it is, if you lose, you have to do something. It could be anything of those of your choices. So I leave it to you guys. What is your least favorite match rule and or stipulation?
Ooh. Ernest.
You know what's funny? I'm still cramming my head about this one, to be honest with you.
All right, wait. I'll go first then, because I got a couple that I could really just, go off on. Because, wrestling... Okay. Wrestling challenge asks us pretty often to give up most of our logic and just quote-unquote go along with it, right? Mm-hmm. And normally I'm okay with that. I've accepted that there's a dead man. I've accepted that, Trinity, Ring for Tatanka, things like that. Like I'm willing to accept, a bunch of things. Put me in front of a TV screen and make me watch a Last Man Standing match, and I really, really, really hate you. That is one of the stupidest gimmicks I think that has ever been invented for a match, because that and I quit match. Those two things together. Because, quite frankly, there's no really logical way for either of those matches to end, and the ways that make the actual logical sense are usually pretty dumb when they're actually executed, i.e., that time that Cena beat, I want to say Batista, maybe it was Orton, It was definitely one of those two. He beat them in a last man standing match by tying their legs around the friggin' ring post.
That was Batista.
Because you can't answer a 10 count when you've been tied up. And the thing is, right, logically, that was probably the most, that probably made the most sense as an ending for a last man standing match. But it's also the most stupid thing you've ever seen in your life, you know? Yeah. To me, okay, the best I Quit match I've ever seen was in CZW, believe it or not, of all places. And the reason that I list this as the best I Quit match is because Nick Gage, who is one of the people in the match, threatened to set his opponent on fire unless his opponent said, "I quit." Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty stubborn. I'm pretty hard-headed. It's the Sicilian in me. It's probably a little bit of the Colombian also. It's all there, right? It's a big old mix. You could beat the shit out of me, and I'm probably not going to tell you I quit. You threaten me, going to be like, "Yo, you win. All right, I will back off on this one." But again, watching that play out in a pro wrestling ring on a show is just not that entertaining. It really is more just oh yeah, I guess he doesn't want to get set on fire. Think about it. Think about I Quit matches. Think about what your favorite I Quit match is. You probably don't even have one. Same thing with a last man standing match. It sounds like an exciting.
Rock Mankind.
Who?
Rock Mankind Rumble 98.
You mean the one where Rock took the ridiculous chair shots to the head?
You mean Mankind took the ridiculous headshots?
Mankind, yes.
Yes.
Mankind took the ridiculous. And then, how did that match end?
I quit! Recording.
With a recording. No. That is bad.
What?
That is
bad. Well, maybe for a storyline. It made sense with the whole world storyline because the very next night, I think he lost the title again to.
Right, no, that's the thing. Right, it made sense for the storyline. It made sense as a way to end that kind of match. But don't sit here and tell me that was actually a good, exciting ending on a wrestling show to a match.
Hold on, you didn't say that it had to be a great ending. You said, "What was my favorite I Quit match?"
I mean, no, yeah, you're right. I'm just saying, though, even that topping your list of favorites, you got to at least admit that it's still not the greatest match.
It's hot trash.
Yeah, exactly. I would put that, again, those two matches in particular. I love steel cage matches, but I hate the ones where the only way to win is escape because really this isn't American Gladiators, it's pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. So I never understood that.
High-powered Nerf guns and let them shoot each other with tennis ball launchers.
Just give them the extra large Q-tip and then beat each other on the top of the cage.
Oh, you came over on my side with the pugil stick, therefore you lose.
And I mean, look, there's obviously other dumb matches to point out. Remember TNA used to do the reverse battle royal where all the guys were outside the ring and you had the last two guys, the first two guys to get in the ring would continue or some shit like that. It was dumb.
How about the that was called the King of the Mountain match where I
was just about to say that.
Become eligible, and then once you were eligible, you would get the title. And you have to put the title. You have to climb up the ladder and put the title on the hook to win the match.
Yeah, it was a reverse ladder match with a penalty box.
Wow.
That was bad. That was the reason why jokes were LOL TNA existed. You know what I mean? No, TNA from the year 2004 till about 2008 were the kings of the really bad gimmick matches. Because their goal was to make sure that every gimmick match that they had wasn't a typical gimmick match. And the sad thing is, the only way to make a gimmick match that has already existed for 20 years, the only way to change it is to do something ridiculously stupid. Instead of them taking the title off from the top of the ladder, we'll make them put him on the top of the ladder. A literal quote from the TNA creative room.
The one match that they actually got right was Ultimate X.
Except for when the title, do you not remember the first Ultimate X matches where the title kept falling?
I remember the first one where it wasn't the title belt, but it was the Giant X.
Yes.
A body slam, and the thing fell into the ring, and they like
yes
tried to like dive for it. The ref was like, "Fuck no."
Yeah. No, you're right. Like that's one that was like sort of clever, but I don't know. Like I remember like one or two like really liking, and then the rest of them have kind of felt like they don't know what else to do, so they just do the same shit.
Yeah. My list of least favorite gimmick matches.
Wait, the gimmick or stipulations? Hold on.
Both.
Okay.
Number one, anything on a pole.
Including Judy?
I hate fucking flag matches. I hate insert weapon here on a pole match. The only acceptable is a Judy Bagwell on a forklift match because she obviously isn't on a pole. She's on a forklift.
Yes.
Number two, the Kennel from Hell match.
Oh, God.
That was awful. I'm glad that it was never used again after Boss Man and Al Snow had to fight over the vengeance of Pepe. I hate with like, and I know I don't like, but like hate.
Hate is a strong word, but I really, really, really don't like you.
I hate first blood matches.
Yes, I hate that one too. That
like
yeah.
Like here's the thing: it's like, oh, first person to bleed loses. But like I got hit by an errant chair shot in the elbow, and my elbow's been bleeding for 7 minutes. The rest just be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Starts looking up at the scoreboard, ties his shoe, eats a piece of bubble gum, like hate first blood matches. Also, not a fan of the fuck is it? The match. I hate scalpel matches.
Oh yes. Oh god, those are such horrible ideas.
Good that can come out of a scalpel match ever.
No, same.
And I think really like the only other one that like that I just keep coming back to. I love, obviously I love War Games. But put the fucking roof back on it.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just let it. Trying to think of other terrible fucking match concepts. Anything that ends with somebody getting a haircut. I hate those. Those are stupid.
You run Bass?
And I guess the last one that I'm just like that just annoy like it just makes my blood boil. I cannot stand the old fashioned like if you lose you have to join this faction or you have to be this person's valet.
Oh god.
I hated those. Like when you lost, you have to wear a dress for a month. Trash. That's really all I got.
I like the Hell in a Cell, the classic ones. I hate the present day Hell in a Cells. What's the point of doing it? We can't really utilize the Hell in a Cell the same way you could back then. I can't stand that.
Wait. Are you saying because like they can't do the same kind of spots, or because like
some degree, yeah,
like it's because it's like it's forced every year, like every October, there's going to be a Hell in a Cell match.
Why?
Maybe not this October.
Why even fucking name a pay-per-view Hell in a Cell? It's so stupid.
Right, like it's not like the match comes out of there being a blood feud. It's more just like, oh, it's October. Who can we put in there?
Right. I don't like that one.
Okay.
There was another one.
I get that actually. That makes a lot of sense.
That's one. I thought another one too, but what's the other one? I forgot. Fuck, I had it in my head too. Fuck. I don't know. You got 4 minutes to think about this. This is actually harder than I thought.
Can I just say when Byrne, you were talking before about the on a pole matches. Do you remember the one WCW main event match? And I think it was at like, I want to say it was at like Bash at the Beach 98.
I know which one you're about to talk about.
The one with the fucking like the
wood crates and
baseball
the fucking
bat. It had like the baseball bat on the pole, and the baseball bat fell down. But then friggin' like the Renegade gives Hulk Hogan just a totally different bat, and everything's just like hunky dory, and like the bat from the pole never actually gets used in the match.
It's almost as bad as the one that they had that was like the wood crates, and like they had to break the crates to get whatever it was out, and then like started breaking the crates, and then it was like the title belt fell out.
Yes.
And like
what did you think of Feast or Fired?
That concept I enjoyed because it was different.
Yeah. Do you know what that was, Ernest? Out of curiosity.
I'm trying to think what.
It was a TNA concept, so you might not know.
No, it was TNA. No, I don't know that one.
Okay, so Feast or Fired. It was in like an amalgam of like all of these different matches, basically. So there were like 10 different guys in this match, and there would be 4 poles on each corner, and each pole had a briefcase, and 4 different people would get one of the briefcases, and then later on you would reveal what you got in each briefcase. And the potential was either a world title shot, an X Division title shot, so they're like secondary title, a tag team title shot, or a pink slip, and you got fired. That's why it was Feast or Fired. So you either, if you were one of the 4 winners, you had the opportunity. There was a chance that you were actually a loser because you were going to get fired.
Okay.
But it was basically it was a like on a pole match times 4.
Correct.
I mean, A for effort, A for creativity.
No, yeah, it's certainly better than the reverse battle royal.
This might shock you actually, and only because I do it so often now. I get annoyed by it. I'm annoyed by triple threat matches also.
But just regular triple threat matches?
Triple threat matches. This annoys me now because it happens too often. That's why. It used to be special when they used to do it like once in a blue moon, and now it's like done almost every other week.
Yeah, I get that.
This annoys me now more than anything else.
I see that.
In a triple threat match. Like, fuck, okay, really? We didn't see it last week also, too? Like, seriously.
I missed when the ECW called them 3-way dances.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess we're at the topic because 30 seconds left. I just want to fill up. Are you there?
I feel like they had a whole pay-per-view listed about that.
Oh, my God. Wait, how are we talking about worst? I don't know how long we have left. But how are we talking about worst wrestling gimmick matches ever and not bringing up that one match? It was WCW Uncensored 95. You have to know where I'm going with this.
The Alliance to End Hulkamania?
No. Wow, that show was really shitty. No, the opening match on that show with fucking... Okay, no, I gotta finish this. I don't care.
Go ahead.
Dustin Rhodes and I think like Black Shot Bully or someone like that, and they were on the back of that truck.
Back of the 18-wheeler that was like spewing everything out of it.
Yes, that was supposedly like going down the highway, even though they filmed that like apparently like a week beforehand or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck that.
And like you had to ring the bell, and even the editing was bad on that match. That was an awful match. There's a reason why that only happened once.
It was also the reason why Dustin Rhodes got fired by WCW.
Yeah, like everyone involved in that match got fired.
Yeah,
from
we're good for him because he went to WF and came cold to us.
Yeah.
So
that fucking cage match that was like Savage and Hogan versus like everyone that hated them, like the Dungeon of Doom or whatever.
Kevin Sullivan and the company.
On that uncensored, I don't know if it was that on uncensored or the next year's. That was
no,
awful.
I think it was 95. I think you're right. That was a really bad pay per view. Gimmick. That was an all gimmick pay per view that really kind of sucked.
Hold on, now I have to fucking look.
Oh my God,
I have to watch that now.
Uncensored. See, the problem is me and Joe would actually sit through stupid ass shows like this because for some reason they get better. The Blacktop Bully Dustin Rhodes match was a 13-minute King of the Road match.
Yep.
It was followed by a martial arts match with Sonny Ono as the special guest referee between Mang and Jim Duggan.
Haku.
Johnny Arn Anderson
there's
boxing match.
What's sad is I bet there's at least a couple of people every year who try to look up like King's Road wrestling style on YouTube and end up accidentally watching the King of the Road match and never watching wrestling again after that.
Wow.
Terrible. And no, for the record, the Doomsday Cage match was the following year.
Okay.
They couldn't put that much stuck on the same episode.
Yeah, I think after that match, I think Hogan went into hiding for a little while, and then the NWO was formed.
I mean, he should. That fucking match was awful.
All right.
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess this is Joe's, right? Bring it home, right?
Yeah.
Bring it home, buddy.
So you guys may be aware of this because, obviously. But NXT announced that next week, and I think the week after also, to counter program AEW's Fyter Fest, which may or may not have a world title match on it, they are going to be promoting NXT's The Great American Bash. And, for those of us who are longtime wrestling fans, obviously we have a place in our hearts for The Great American Bash as a brand. It was a WCW... It was an NWA tour before it was a WCW pay-per-view. And then it was a WCW pay-per-view before it was a WWE pay-per-view. And now it is being passed on to NXT, which feels oddly appropriate because NXT mostly exists because of Dusty Rhodes, and Dusty Rhodes invented the Great American Bash. So this feels accurate. Again, Wednesday Night Wrestling only exists because Dusty Rhodes was a thing. So I figured, this isn't a pay-per-view. It's not a takeover, so we're not doing a preview for it. But I know I'm a long-term fan. I know you guys are also, and I'm sure you guys have some happy memories of the Great American Bash. It's the place where the first ever War Games took place, and the first couple of War Games were there. And there's other great memories. So I would love to know what memories you guys have of the Great American Bash, maybe a favorite bash, anything like that you guys want to share, get us ready for NXT's take on this great concept next week.
Well,
so guys,
I'll get mine on the way quick. I only have one really great memory of Great American Bash, and it really is from '96, and that's the lead up to the NWO, lead up to the build up. As you remember, that was the show where Hall Nash threw Eric Bischoff through the table.
That's right.
One of the best spots that really stunned me. And that's like the last really major thing that happened before the third guy was revealed. And to me, watching it in the moment, and remember, I was watching it in the moment too. So watching that and knowing what the fuck's going on, like this is like literally fucking Diesel and Razor Ramon in the moment. Like, what's going on here? If I'm not mistaken, that was actually the week after I think Nash showed up on television.
Yeah, it wasn't that. Yeah, it was pretty quick succession.
Right, really quick.
From there.
But the whole through the table, I thought it was a sick spot for that time too, especially too. For Bischoff to take that bump, pretty sick. That's the one.
Well, no,
go ahead.
Yeah. No, well, because like you were almost saying earlier about like how like they do certain matches, like they do Hell in a Cell all the time or triple threat matches all the time, like they don't matter anymore. Like same thing with table spots, and like back then, certainly in WCW, you didn't really see that many table spots. So yeah,
let alone the boss taking a spot.
Right, exactly.
That's a bad bump too. It was a pretty big bump, but yeah, that's really the one big memory I have of the Great American Bash. I wasn't a humongous WCW fan until Hogan came by, and then certainly, and even the first 2 years Hogan was there, I didn't really watch that much. It wasn't until the NWO build-up started happening, like before the NWO was formed, that I really started to peak interest. And of course, that was the first event actually that I watched. I was really like, okay, well, this is interesting now. And Hall Nash is now here, and then just a couple weeks later, Hogan was the third guy.
No, that's a great one. I forgot that even happened at the Bash. That's a great one. Mike.
Obviously, I had that on obviously from the dynamic on how it changed wrestling moving forward. Another one that I have, obviously Joe mentioned it. It started here. I have a very fond spot in my heart for it. That is War Games. I will always put War Games on one of my lists anytime I can. if you want to watch a couple of those old War Games, I believe WWE Network has them on there.
Yes.
Under the War Games collection. I don't know if you can watch the full Great American Bash shows.
Well, so what's funny is they do have a couple of non-pay-per-view, but just like tour stop Great American Bash shows on the network, actually. From like 86 and 87.
My next one, it's Sting versus Flair.
Yep.
From Great American Bash 1990. I love that. That match was awesome. I loved Sting finally getting the win. So, yep, always got to love Sting. My next one pays homage to the first time WWE used the concept. It was The Undertaker versus the Dudley Boys in a concrete crypt match.
Oh, God.
2002, 2003?
I don't know. It was god-awful.
Oh, that was so bad.
Don't put him down. I'm going to flip this switch. Chokeslam. If you don't do this, I'm going to bury Paul Bearer in concrete, and then Undertaker buries him anyways. The fuck, you murderer.
Talk about bad gimmicks.
Yeah. And finally, my last one on my short list. I want to talk about how great this was, but I have to preface it with, while this was great, one of the people involved, I hold a very low standards because of what has come out about said person. That is match number 7 of the United States title series between Chris Benoit and Booker T.
Yeah.
That match was great. That whole series was great.
Yeah.
And it's Benoit.
Yeah.
So I want to mention that I love that whole fucking thing, but it's it's all I really want to say because, like I said, it's Benoit.
Yeah. No, I get where you're coming from on that.
Yep.
I mean, to me, the number one has to, and again, I forgot about the Hall and Nash and Eric Bischoff thing, and that's so deserving of at least the number 2 or 3 spot easily. Number one has to be Red, White, and Blue Sting. I mean, talk about patriotic. That's like when Apollo Creed came out in Rocky, to James Brown, I'm living in the USA. You know what I mean? I somehow made that very white just now, and I feel good, James Brown. But that, Sting in that look was just so iconic. And you're right. I just watched it again just yesterday. That match is incredible. Sting and Flair could do no wrong against each other, no matter what. And the fact that Sting got the win and became world champion there, I mean, it's iconic. The whole thing is iconic, and that definitely, I can't think of anything else from Great American Bash history that should be considered above that. I think that's where my mind goes when the words Great American Bash come out. I think of Red, White, and Blue Sting. After that, definitely War Games. If you've ever watched the very first War Games, it is one of the most incredible matches of all time. It is a literal war zone. And
remember the year?
At a certain point,
Remember the year?
I want to say 86.
Okay.
Something like that.
Right.
Yeah. And it's on the network. I think that one is on the network, but you do have to go to the War Games section and find it. It's standing by itself there. It is just an incredible match. It really is, and it started a concept that, that lasted for a very long time, and then laid dormant for a very long time, and now NXT has brought it back, and I'm very happy for that. And AEW tried to bring their own version of it, but then coronavirus happened, so we may get their own version of it one day. Who knows?
Blood and guts.
Blood and guts, right, exactly. It's, that's one of the greatest concepts, and that was pretty much invented for the Great American Bash. Remember, back in, and it's such a funny thing to think because the business is so different today, but back in 85 and 86, they weren't doing just the one pay-per-view. They were doing the Great American Bash tour, and they went out for a whole month or, however long, and stopped in different cities and did Like, I think there were like 20 different war games during that tour. You know what I mean? Or like 5 or 6 different war games. There were definitely more than just one. And you know, there were a whole lot of different like great matches, and that's it. Like, I would love to see like NXT just label the entire summer as like the Great American Bash Summer. You know what I mean?
That'd be cool,
or, like,
actually. Yeah.
You know, just do something like to make it like a little special like that, because that really goes to the tradition of what like the Great American Bash was, because it wasn't. It was the summertime tour. You know what I mean? It wasn't just the pay-per-view, and I think that's really where it gets its like long-term lineage for sticking around in pro wrestling, and why it's really, really cool that NXT has decided to bring it back. And then after that, yeah, like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash definitely deserve props there. I think in '97 is when we had one of the first Macho Man and DDP matches.
That was the first one, I think. The first match.
Yeah, and that match was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that match, talk about taking DDP to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Macho Man did that, and he did that with that series, and I'm pretty sure it started at the back.
Yeah, it was three matches. It was there, Halloween Havoc, and I think, which other one, I think? Uncensored? No, not Uncensored. No, it's another one.
Yeah. No, I think it was. No, was it Uncensored?
No, it can't be. Uncensored was early in the year. It was in February.
Oh, you're right. It might have been
Starrcade.
Shoot,
Starrcade.
Which one? No, it was before Starrcade, because Macho Man was in a 6-man tag that was pointless. On
Halloween Havoc definitely that ended the feud.
It might have been like Road Wild or some stupid shit like that.
Maybe. Yeah.
War Games. But no, that was a great match, and that I think that again is another one of those like I haven't watched. I really, if I had the time, I really wanted to watch like as many Great American matches as I could before today, and maybe like try to figure out like a best matches list or whatever. But I think that one at least goes up there within the top 5, along with like Sting and Flair, and
one day
the original War
one
Games.
day I'm gonna do a major deep dive on WCW. Like, it's a major deep dive.
And then you're going to get to the RoboCop match, and you're just going to be dumb.
I saw that. I did see that already. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Most of WCW is fucking stupid.
Fucking, like, WWF was Transformers. Fucking WCW was GoBots.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
What I really want to do is, like, gift you, like, a membership to, like, the Impact Wrestling website. Mm-hmm. But with the caveat that you have to promise to watch through the entire, like, first 2 years of TNA, because dear God. Like, if you think WCW was, like, it basically was the continuation of WCW in the year 2001, and you should understand why that wasn't a good thing. Right.
So are you saying, and though AEW's only a year old, that AEW is better than Impact?
Current Impact or like all-time
Impact?
I
guess the first 2 years Impact.
The first few years, definitely, because the first few years TNA had like Vince Russo still booking for them.
Oh, there you go, bro.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, and okay, wait. Oh, no, this is a whole other topic. I'm going to save this one for like maybe next week, because this is a good one.
Oh, in 2 weeks.
Or in 2 weeks, yeah, whatever. Because if nothing else, TNA definitely built more stars in their first year than AEW has. That's my take on that, and I would love to know your guys' opinion. So we'll save that one.
Okay. You know how bad the first couple of years of Impact was? They fucked up and let go of CM Punk.
Yes.
They had a stable called Sex.
Sports Entertainment Extreme.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
It was bad. But they also made AJ Styles into a star.
Okay.
So, I mean...
He had great matches with...
But what I'm saying, like, I don't want to get into the whole thing, but like in the first year of TNA, you could say AJ Styles became a huge star. I don't know that anyone in AEW can be pointed at the same way.
True.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
I don't think he became as big a star as AJ Styles did.
I'm not saying he became as big. You said that didn't become a star.
True. I guess. We'll save this one.
We'll table this discussion.
Yeah,
we'll put a pin on it. We'll put a pin in it, as they say.
Somebody mark this on a tab of mine, please.
All right, I guess that's it for this topic. Before we get going, MVPs of the week.
I'm not ready for this one yet. You guys.
I'll go first. I'm gonna give a shout out to somebody that never gets shout out anymore because, quite frankly, no one likes him anymore. I'm gonna shout out Dolph Ziggler. It's why.
Oh wow.
I did manage to watch a little bit of Raw this week. Didn't finish it. And he's already in the title picture. He's gonna be facing Drew McIntyre at Extreme Rules. And I don't know. I'm just kind of, he's a very talented guy. Like I know why people don't like him. I get it. It's just, he's good. He's really, really good. But I'm just glad that he's a chance to fuck it at the Apple one more time. Obviously, he ain't gonna win, but still, guy's fucking. He's a talented wrestler, man. It's just, I get it. I just get it. I get why people don't like him, but Dolph Ziggler. There's a little bit of love for Dolph Ziggler this week.
I like it. I mean, I guess.
You know what I mean? It's just like, no one likes him. I get it.
Yeah, you know what it is? Like, he's just overstayed his welcome.
Yeah.
I think.
I feel like he goes to
He's overstayed his welcome in the sense of he's been doing the same shit for so long. If he showed up in AEW tomorrow, it'd be awesome.
That's what I'm saying. If he's in AEW, I think he's great. I think he's like one of the top guys there immediately.
Yeah.
I can see it.
My MVP for the week is going to be Renee Young because she took out the AEW World Champion. And even Jack Hager couldn't do that. Jericho lost, but Renee Young took Dean Ambrose down.
Vince is the virus. I told you, Vince, the virus. Hey, you did this. Hey, look, you did this, Stephanie. He'll screw anybody. It was me.
So bad.
That was a worst fucking angle. Well, it was okay for a little while, but all right, Mikey.
All right, so I guess because it's not a topic that we really discussed when we were going through the news dump, my MVP this week is actually going to be something we actually just talked about. I'm going to give my MVP to Impact Wrestling and their management staff.
Oh, really? Explain.
They decided to terminate the contracts of Joey Ryan and Dave Christ earlier in the week, who were labeled as two people who have done some very bad things to some very innocent people. So they got it right there. They got it right by basically telling Michael Elgin to fucking kick rocks.
Yep.
He's a guy who's been labeled by multiple people in speak outs prior to this and during this. So deuces. And last but not least, they did the right thing for themselves by terminating the contract of current Impact Wrestling World Champion Tessa Blanchard.
Yes, that's right.
Someone who is known to be a head case, someone who's known to be a distraction in the locker room. She didn't have to go to Mexico. She chose to go there with fellow wrestler and fiance Daga or whatever he goes by, whatever. She didn't have to go to Mexico. They could have stayed in the States. She chose to go to Mexico. She chose not to send in videos that she was supposed to record to build up to the 5-way match for the Impact Wrestling World Championship. And supposedly her contract was up, and then decided that she wouldn't do business with Impact to come over and drop the title. So they said, well, we're not going to pay you for the last 3 weeks that you're on contract because you're not going to come over and finish doing your job. So kudos to them for putting their foot down and being like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you. Get the fuck out.
I've heard the rumor is AEW is not even interested in her, and I mean, her dad works there, so I mean that tells you something.
That's bad.
Yeah, it tells you something. Her dad can't get her a job, and people are like, "Oh, she would be great in the women's division." She's already got into it. I think with 3 women on that roster.
Yeah.
He said on the internet, how do you make their women's division worse? Make them all hate each other.
But that being said, though, Mike, and I'm talking out of pure ignorance here, could she, in theory, help AEW's women's division?
No.
Not even in the ring?
No.
Okay.
I would say no, because one woman who can wrestle really well doesn't save an entire division. Like it's a dance, and if she don't have a good dance partner, then all she's gonna do is bring her toxic, personality to the backstage, like Mike was saying, and that's not gonna help anybody.
Right.
And there's enough people in that locker room that she's rubbed the wrong way that aren't gonna go out there and make her look like $1 million.
Fair enough. That makes sense.
Tomorrow, like, oh, we want you to put Tessa over because Tessa's gonna get a fucking rocket ship strapped to her back. Do you really think insert wrestler's name here? You'd be like, oh yeah, I'm just dying to put over the person who like is being accused of being a racist and fucking every other accusation that she's had, of keeping people from fucking their pushes because of the way she acts and shit like that. I wouldn't fucking put that person over if my life depended on it.
Yeah,
right. Fair enough.
I mean, I don't think there's anything that she brings to the table except for at this point she's healthy.
It sounds like Tessa Blanchard is like our anti-MVP of the week. She's like the least valued player of the week, the LVP.
I would say that I don't have an issue awarding her as the first ever LVP of the Take 3 Wrestling Podcast.
That's correct.
Yes.
Joe, you went ready, right? You gave yours ready?
Yes.
Right, cool. All right, so next week, we're taking next week off because special week next week. Mr. Mike Bernier will be having his third child sometime next week.
Final.
Huh? Finally? Yeah.
Final child. She is actually planning on having the C-section on Friday. Hopefully we get released from the hospital by Sunday, but we normally record on Sundays. It's going to be weird transitioning back to the house. So
I wouldn't even push it. I wouldn't even push it.
I would definitely be taking off Sunday, our next week's show. The two of you may record something and get it up if you guys would like. I have no qualms with that. But I plan on being back for the episode that we will record on Sunday the 12th and get the thing back up and going.
Right. So, anyway, congrats to Mike and Carol on the upcoming baby. Of course.
Hey, I'm the godfather. I get
that congrats. That's right. Yeah, of course, J-Lo. Come on now, man. Of course, you can, follow Joe Lopez.
That's my Marlon Brando.
Modeling every fucking week on Instagram and Facebook. His sneakers. Did you get new sneakers today, Joe?
I got 2 more in the mail. I'm not gonna lie.
Jesus Lord, you are man.
They just put out new LeBrons. It's not my fault.
Anyway, gentlemen, we will catch up. If not next week, definitely next 2 weeks. Enjoy your July 4th. Stay patriotic, of course, and till then.
Watch the Great American Bash. Watch Fighter Fest.
Yes, that's right.
Red, white, and blue stain.
That's right. Okay, bye.
America. Bye.
Red, white, and blue stain.
You got it.